creating reports and adjusting settings. On the upper right is a button for reports. Select that and you'll see options at various levels of the project, the scheme. At the site level, you can create a scheme cost summary as one example, which takes and aggregates all of the buildings on the site, a line-by-line item, gives you a total area and cost for each building, and totals all of them together at the bottom. As the designer edits the size of these buildings, these numbers are updated in real time. Another type of report is a staff and space area summary. This calculates all of the buildings again and summarizes areas in each building and totals them per building and floor. All of these will also update as design of the spaces gets edited. The main point about these reports is that these are all live, connected to the plan. Attachments are files that are attached to the projects. For example, there's some comments that were attached to a project and scheme here that would show up. And also you could attach other files such as PDFs and even entire BIM files such as native Revit or ArchiCAD or Vectorworks files or IFC files. This is separate from importing the files back into the project. It's a way of attaching files to relevant levels of detail of the model. Opening up the individual buildings tab, we can go and look at one of the buildings, open that up, and a different set of reports is available. So for this one building, number 7, for the 70 unit 10-story housing, if we click on building cost estimate, a more detailed cost estimate is created, again live from the scheme itself. The factors and the costs here can be edited by the user to come up with different numbers, and additional line items can be added. So total project cost for this particular building is shown here. The intent of all these reports is to get within range and continue to refine it as the level of detail of the project increases. This is a facility report for that one building. Energy report gives you initial energy use, kilowatt hours per space, and total. And other types of reports. Closing the Reports tab and now going to the Settings. Settings are where you can change information about the project and the buildings. So for example, you can change the name of the scheme here, change it from imperial to metric. We've set it to metric here, change this currency of the scheme from pounds to dollars, for example, and put other notes that are attached to the scheme. You can also put site work cost estimate, cost settings, add demolition costs, for example, if you knew there was some. You can also drill down to the building settings and control other aspects of individual buildings. So if we have multiple buildings on the site, it's going to create a list of all the buildings and give us options of what can be edited in these buildings. So again, if we go to the 70 unit 10-story tower, it loads up the data for that building, and we can edit information here. Like here we've actually put in the number of housing units in that tower. This is a manual entry. This is not tied to the actual space, it's just a total count that we keep track of. You can also change the construction date, and this actually changes the 4D visualization that ends up going out in the Google Earth and also in other types of reports. So this building is scheduled to be built in 2012 and take 1 year to construct. In early planning phases, you can also have an option to how you calculate the gross square footage. Is it a factor of the net area, or is it the actual floor slab of each floor aggregated together? If it's a custom factor, you can actually edit the custom factor here if you'd like. And this is where the energy kilowatt hours is calculated. You can edit that also. The floor matrix defines the floor-to-floor height of that building. So if you go and select the floor settings matrix, it calculates all of the floors and allows us to edit them. So for example, if you want to go back to that building with the 70 unit 10 stories, we can actually change the floor-to-floor height right here. Changing a number actually will make its way into and change the total height of the building and make its way into the BIM output that we use for this project. You can also define what the ground floor is, so you can change the ground floor to 1 or 2 or -0 or a -1, and that'll change how the building sits on the site. We also have a Leeds checklist which can be created for each project. So for example, in the same 70 unit 10-story tower, we could say this is Leeds for new construction and start creating a new checklist which will be attached to the project too. All of this data, the decisions, the rules, estimates are attached to the project and follow the project around in different reports. So you can start creating a pull down for the different Leeds credits that you want to, as an owner for example, target for the project. And that would be used to communicate with the architect the design intent of this particular project. Cost estimate is where assumptions are put in for costing. The cost per square meter is shown here. It can be edited and it would change the total number right here and the bottom line total. There's a lot of other types of line items you can add, including adding your own. If you say add other costs, it will create a new line item and keep track of the total construction cost. There are a lot of other settings here. Go ahead and explore them and you'll see that there's a lot of adjustments that can be made, or you could just let it function at the default level and continue to work on the project until you're ready to fill in the more detailed information.